Hi, my name is Robert. Please read the comments in the About section of this video. It has valuable information and updates. My YouTube channel has a disclaimer video that I encourage you to watch. And please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you found what you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching. I'm here at Peaches. I'm going to take care of several minor things on it and probably get it on Craigslist today. Even though the radiator's leaking, I have a radiator on order that I'm going to replace it with, and but I need to get this vehicle on Craigslist and get it out of my hands. The first thing I'm going to do is take the ABS module off of this vehicle and put it on Peaches. I purchased this vehicle specifically to take the tires and have them mounted on the wheels on Peaches, but since I'm a little tight on cash, I think I'm just going to swap the wheels and everything over there. But I purchased this car specifically for the tires, and then I was going to junk it and get most of my money back. But I noticed it had the ABS module that would work on Peaches, so I'm going to do that first. Somebody may have been watching my videos because they put the squirters from '99 on this vehicle, unless for some reason this is an extremely late '98 model. I guess it's also possible that somebody put a hood from a '99 or 2000 on this vehicle from some accident or something in the past. This car, I believe, has a bad engine due to a burnt valve. So I'm going to take a look at that a little bit later, but let me get Peaches in order first. Yeah, this vehicle has a hydraulic tensioner, so it's an early '98 model, but it is not turbo, so the arrangement is a little different. And when I purchased it and drove it, since it was missing on number 3 and I suspect it's a burnt valve, I disconnected the fuel injector for that cylinder. You don't want fuel spraying in a cylinder that's misfiring. It's just not real good for it. Looks like somebody put some aftermarket parts on it. Like I said, my initial plan was just to junk it, but I may save it. Depending on the condition of the rest of the engine, I'll do a compression test here shortly. Well, the car had a switch in it for tracks, and this unit does not have the tracks option. So this ABS module will probably get the speedometer working and the ABS working, but the tracks probably still won't work. So I'll have to swap this back out when I get the other module back from Matt rebuilding it. The ABS module is installed. Next, I'm going to repair the rear view mirror. Strange thing on this vehicle, something I've never seen before, the rear view mirror was actually loose. So I took it down, took a look at it, and I found it was missing a screw. So I went to the junkyard, got a screw for it, and I'm going to show you how to put this back together. The rear view mirror has a bracket and a large screw there, and the base part of it has a couple of screws, and on the other side of that it has a couple of pins that go across it to secure it to the roof of the car. So here are the pins, and one of them had a missing screw, so it wasn't secured in there properly. Okay, so having all the pieces here, let me go ahead and show you how this jigsaw goes in place. First thing you do is set these two rods into place. Now that you have the two T30s set in there, they stick through like that. You want to take this and hook it. You want to take this piece and mount it to the base of the mirror. That mirror has those two dimples on it there, which match to those two indentions there. So set that on there like that. Now those screws are stuck in that assembly there. Now let me set these two rods back in place here. With that together like that, you want to take this large screw here and screw it into the base of the mirror. Don't make it so tight that it pops these two rods out, but do make it snug enough to keep the mirror together. Now that I have this piece together, I'm going to go inside the vehicle and I'm going to screw these two screws up and into the roof of the vehicle. Before you mount the mirror, move the arm around on the back of the mirror. Make sure it's not too hard or binding. If so, you may want to spray some lithium grease or something on there so that it's not too tight to move around while it's up there mounted to the ceiling of the car. That may be what caused the problem with it in the first place. Take the mirror that has the screws up there. They screw there with T30. Tighten those down as tight as you can. Once you have the mirror up there tight in place and it moves around okay, go ahead and install your dome light assembly. The dome light assembly has those clips, so you clip them in first and you make sure your wire is in all the way. Clip the front of the dome light in, snap the back of the dome light in. Let me do this with two hands so I get it in right. Once that's snapped into the ceiling, you put your two small screws there and then you clip your light covers back on and you're all done. The light lenses, they have hooks on them. They hook up on the front side first and they clip into the back side. And there you have it, folks, a functioning fixed rear view mirror that moves around normally. Next, I'm going to attempt to repair this boot with one from the car that I just purchased. See what kind of condition it's in. The one on the other vehicle had a chip in it, so I'm going to leave that one alone and leave this one alone for now. If I find another one, I'll replace it. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. It's just a piece of trim. Next, I'm going to replace this handle that got broke loose. Normally what happens is somebody brings it down to release the steering wheel. They're sitting in the vehicle. They forget that it's released. And then they get out of the car and snap it off. And then they don't get it repaired. So I'm going to repair it, replace it. First thing I'm going to do is put a T25 in these holes. Release that collar. Release the top collar from it, which it pries up. And remove the lower collar from the steering wheel. So I'm going to stick something in here, a screwdriver or something. Release that tilt steering wheel. And pull the wheel out and down as far as I can. Next, I'm going to take a T25, remove that screw, and pull this panel down. It has a light hooked up to it on this side, so don't damage those wires. But it drops down, pulls toward the back of the car, and works its way out from under the dash. Next, I'm going to remove this knee booster. You got 13 millimeters in there, I believe 12 millimeters in here, and then another screw over here on the side to work this knee booster out. Two 13 millimeters on the driver's side, a 13 millimeter against the center console, and 4 12 millimeters toward the middle of this thing, and then work it out of the dash. Let me use two hands. And you have one last bolt down here that's hard to see. It's also a 13 millimeter that you have to pull out. A total of 4 nuts and 4 bolts. One of the bolts I either use a deep 14 or go through there with a short extension through that bracket. The other one I just put the 14 on it. With the forward bolt loose and the rear bolt totally out, I'm able to maneuver the column to where I can actually get that thing out of there. So I pull the steering wheel toward the back of the car, I push it all the way to the passenger side, and I can actually get that thing off without removing that forward bolt all the way. Alright, the aft bolt is out, the one toward the back of the car. The bolt toward the front of the car is very loose. I pull the steering wheel toward me and I can work this thing off. Now I'm going to put the replacement one on there. Okay, I'm going to maneuver the replacement one on there. It has one of these clamps, Oki I think it's called, style clamps, that you squeeze on with those special pliers. Let me see if I get this worked on there. And the tilt wheel's released, so let me slide this clamp up as far as I can. So get this back on there. It's in place. Now I'm going to slide the clamp over onto the teeth of it so I don't break it. Then I'm going to tighten the clamp down some. This is a used clamp from the car I got it off of. It's not a new clamp, so it's not as loose as it should be. Oop, went a little too far with it. Let me get it back over the threads where it should be. Alright, it's right about where it should be. Now I'm going to turn it down so I can get my tool on there and tighten it. Not that you really want that thing to be too tight. Alright, it's snug. So now I got it on and in place. There it is. It's on. Next, I'm going to take the aft bolt, aft being the aft of the car, put it in place and get it started and tighten those two 14mm bolts back down. I have both of those 14mm very tight. If I was putting a torque wrench on it, I would say probably 35 foot-pounds. You want those two screws tight. Next, I'm going to put the kick panel back in place, the knee bolster. I'm not going to put that forward screw in. I kind of think that's overly engineered. I'm just going to put the other one in. So let me grab that, hook that, and put that in place. And it's easier to do that if you raise the steering wheel all the way up. And be honest with you, you may not want to put either one of those screws in, those nuts on the center console side. But if you do, you need to set this in place. And this sits in place back behind here like this. And you get both of the studs pointing out. And then you set that knee bolster in there and hook it on there. So decide whether or not you're going to use that or not. I don't think it's necessary, but you may. Since I'm not putting this on, I'm going to toss it in the glove box. There is a chance of not putting that bracket and screws in that there may be some minor vibrations at certain times of the car's functioning. Next, I'm going to put this lower panel back in place. It has a couple of guides on it. When you take the panel, this end goes in a guide, and that end down there goes in a guide, and that white piece on the heater core is the guide for the passenger side, and right here by the hood release is the guide for the driver's side. And then you lift it up, hook your two hooks in place, that hook and the one on the other side hook into your dash slots. Try not to break that stuff. Then you put your one screw back in the middle. Don't tighten it too tight that you break the plastic. Next, you put your lower collar in place. You don't tighten those lower screws down too much or you'll shatter those mounts on it. Put it in place, snug those 3 screws in there. Next, you hook the top of the collar in and snap it in place. It has a couple of guides down on the bottom, and it's got these 2 snaps up here up front. So do it with care because you don't want to break those plastic snaps and guides and clips. Make sure your rubber boots are properly positioned. Guide that top panel down, snap it in place, and you're all done. You fixed the tilt steering wheel grip for your 70 series car. Not sure why a lot of people don't know this, but these cars have tilt and telescoping steering wheels. The steering wheel goes up and down, and they go in and out. And I got the handle repaired. Now the steering wheel is where I want it, and it's locked in place. Next, I'm going to pull this door panel real quick, or at least pull it away from the door to try to figure out why this handle is tilted backwards instead of straight up and down. Well, it turns out I didn't have to pull a door panel after all. Now all the clips are broke. But anyway, the thing is actually bent. So maybe it got caught on somebody's clothes or something and it bent it. I'm just going to bend it and straighten it back out. Put the door panel back on. Okay, now the knob is straight. Door panel's back on. So next, I'm going to clean the car up, wash it inside and out, clean up the wheels, put it on Craigslist, and replace the radiator in the heater core whenever the radiator comes in. I put the air scoop vent in. I put the ECU vent in. I topped off the coolant with anything because all that's going to be flushed out. And I found the cap for the back side of the headlights, so I put that on. Next, I'm installing new wiper blades, front and rear. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.